The massive alien ship appeared over New York without warning. One moment the sky was clear, the next it was filled with a vessel larger than any aircraft carrier ever built. Similar ships appeared over every major city on Earth at the same time. Captain Frank Miller stood with his back straight, watching from the United Nations Plaza. As head of security for the American delegation, he was there to protect, not to speak. But his hand stayed close to his sidearm as the alien craft lowered a shimmering bridge of light to the ground. "They're coming down," he said into his radio. "Stay alert." The being that walked down the light bridge looked almost human, except for its blue skin and eyes with diamond-shaped pupils. It wore ornate robes with symbols that seemed to move when Frank looked directly at them. "I am High Emissary Tar of the Galactic Council," the alien announced in perfect English. "We have observed your planet for decades and have determined Earth is now ready for integration." Within hours, world leaders gathered at the UN. Frank stood behind the American president, watching every move the alien made. Something felt wrong. The emissary smiled too much. Dr. Lisa Johnson sat in the back of the room, typing rapidly on her tablet. As Earth's leading xenolinguist, she had been called in to analyze the alien speech patterns. But she was doing something else too, analyzing the strange signals coming from the ships overhead. "The Council offers Earth protected status," Tar announced to the assembled leaders. "You will receive our guidance and, in exchange, provide only 70% of your world's resources, a standard arrangement for species at your development level." The room erupted. The French president stood up first. "That's not protection. That's exploitation. This is how the galaxy works," the alien replied calmly. "Lower species provide for higher ones. You should be grateful we don't simply take everything." Lisa looked up from her tablet, her eyes wide with fear. The data she was seeing showed energy patterns building up in the ships, patterns consistent with weapons charging. "They're going to attack," she whispered to her colleague. Frank heard her and immediately moved toward the president. Something in the alien's posture had changed. "Earth has much to learn about galactic hierarchy," Tar said coldly. "Perhaps a demonstration is in order." The floor shook as the first explosions hit New York. Through the windows, Frank could see other cities around the world lighting up with fire on the large screens that displayed global news feeds. "Get down," Frank yelled, pulling the president to the floor as windows shattered inward. He looked up to see the alien emissary had already disappeared, transported back to his ship. Lisa crawled through the chaos toward Frank. "The ships are using some kind of quantum communication network," she shouted over the noise. "I detected patterns in their signals that might give us a way to disrupt them." Outside, fighter jets scrambled but were swatted from the sky like flies. The alien ships fired precision weapons that targeted military bases, government buildings, and infrastructure. 3 days later, Frank helped set up a resistance base in an old mining complex in Colorado. The first attacks had killed millions, and alien ground forces had already landed in major cities. "They think we'll surrender," he told the soldiers and civilians gathered around him. "They think humans will break easily." Lisa stood nearby, surrounded by salvaged computers. "I've been analyzing their communication bursts. There's a pattern, a vulnerability we might exploit. They never expected us to fight back. That's their weakness." A young engineer named Sam Taylor raised his hand. "I recovered parts from a downed alien scout ship. Their tech isn't as advanced as it first seemed. I think we can reverse engineer it." Frank looked around at the determined faces. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They had attacked Earth without understanding what humans did best: adapt and overcome. Humanity had fought itself for centuries. Now, all that combat experience would be turned against a common enemy. "The Galactic Council thinks this war is already over," Frank said. "They're about to learn they picked a fight with the wrong planet." 6 months after the first attack, Earth looked different. Alien structures now stood in most major cities. Council ships patrolled the skies. Humans who surrendered worked in mines and factories, gathering resources to ship off-world. Frank Miller looked through binoculars from his hidden position in the Rocky Mountains. Below, an alien transport moved slowly along a rural road. Frank had lost weight since the invasion, and a scar now ran across his left cheek. "Ready?" he asked the 5 people hiding with him. They nodded, weapons ready. These weren't military-grade guns. They were modified with parts from alien technology, thanks to Sam Taylor's work. "Now," Frank commanded. His team fired at the transport's engine section, the weak point Sam had identified. The transport sputtered and crashed. Frank's team moved quickly, taking out the 2 alien guards and securing the cargo. Food, medicine, and alien tech. "Load it up and let's move," Frank ordered. "We have 10 minutes before they send search parties." 50 miles away, in an abandoned mine-turned-secret lab, Lisa Johnson hadn't slept in 2 days. She stared at computer screens showing alien communication patterns. "It's working," she told the other scientists. "Their ships use quantum-paired transmitters. If we can create the right interference pattern." Her colleague, Dr. Alan Reyes, pointed to another screen. "The virus you designed disrupted their communications in the Denver sector for 3 minutes yesterday." 3 minutes isn't enough, Lisa said. "We need to disable their entire network." The door opened, and Sam Taylor walked in, carrying parts salvaged from crashed alien craft. His hands were stained with grease and alien fluid that glowed faintly blue. "Got something for you," he said, placing a small device on the table. Their equivalent of a communications relay, fully intact. Lisa's eyes widened. This is exactly what we needed. In the orbital command ship above Earth, Minor Delegate Senpor stood nervously before his superior, High Emissary Tar. "Explain these resistance attacks," Tar demanded. His blue skin had darkened with anger. "The humans are more organized than we expected," Senpor replied. "They formed at least 30 major resistance groups worldwide." "Impossible. Their military was destroyed in the first week." "These aren't military units," Senpor explained. "They're civilians using guerrilla tactics, and they're beginning to use our own technology against us." Tar slammed his fist on the table. "Increase harvesting operations. Double work shifts. Break their will." Senpor hesitated. With respect, emissary, harsh measures seemed to strengthen their resolve. "Are you questioning council methods?" Tar's eyes narrowed. "No, emissary. I'll implement your orders." Later, alone in his quarters, Senpor reviewed footage of human resistance fighters. They were supposed to be a primitive species, easily conquered. The council had subdued dozens of worlds this way. But humans fought differently. They adapted, they learned, they never gave up. Senpor made a decision. He copied classified files on council defenses and encrypted them on a small data device. Back at the resistance base, Frank's team returned with their stolen supplies. People cheered as food was distributed. "We hit them hard today," Frank told the gathered crowd. "But tomorrow we hit harder." Sam approached with excitement. "The parts we salvage. I think I can build a weapon that disrupts their personal shields." Lisa joined them, holding a tablet. "And I'm closer to cracking their communication network. Give me 2 more weeks." A radio operator ran up to Frank. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission on an alien frequency. Someone's trying to contact us." Frank frowned. "Could be a trap." The message repeats, "Not all council members agree with this invasion. I can help." Frank, Lisa, and Sam exchanged looks. "Should we respond?" the operator asked. Frank thought for a moment. "Tell them to prove it. We need actionable intelligence." The resistance was growing stronger. Around the world, humans were sharing information, techniques for fighting back. The aliens had expected surrender. Instead, they got war. And humans were just getting started. 2 years had passed since the invasion. The world had changed. Humans no longer ran in fear from alien patrols. Now they'd fought back. Frank Miller stood at the edge of a hidden airfield in what used to be Arizona. Before him sat their greatest achievement, a captured alien scout ship. Its sleek purple hull had been modified with Earth-made weapons. "Will it fly?" Frank asked. Sam Taylor wiped grease from his hands. "Better than before. I replaced their engine control systems with our own. It's faster now." Lisa Johnson emerged from inside the ship. "The communication virus is ready. Once uploaded to their main network, it will spread to every Council ship in Earth's orbit." Frank looked at the hundreds of resistance fighters preparing for battle. Some wore scavenged alien armor. Others carried weapons that combined human and alien technology. "Today we take back Arizona," Frank told them. "Tomorrow, we start taking back our planet." The plan was simple but dangerous. The resistance would attack the main Council base in Phoenix from the ground, while Frank, Lisa, and Sam used the modified scout ship to disable the orbital defenses. As dawn broke, the attack began. Human fighters swarmed toward the alien base from all directions. The aliens were shocked to see humans using their own shield technology and weapons against them. Above, Frank piloted the stolen ship toward the Council command vessel. They had painted the human resistance symbol, a phoenix rising from Earth, on its hull. "We're being hailed," Lisa said from the communication station. The screen lit up, showing Zenpor's face. Over the past year, the alien had secretly provided intelligence to the resistance. "Your attack has thrown them into chaos," Zenpor said. "The command ship's rear shields are down for maintenance. You have a window of opportunity." "Thanks," Frank replied. "Stay safe. Your day of going public with your support is coming soon." Frank guided their ship toward the command vessel's blind spot. Sam had modified the scout ship's weapons, making them far more powerful than the Council expected from such a small vessel. "Firing now," Sam announced. Their weapons hit the command ship's engine section. Explosions bloomed in the silence of space. The giant ship listed to one side, its power fluctuating. "Upload the virus," Frank ordered. Lisa connected to the command ship's network and released her creation. On her screen, she watched as the virus spread, jumping from ship to ship. "It's working," she exclaimed. "Their communications are going dark." On the ground, the aliens found themselves cut off from orbital support. Their personal shields flickered and died. Their weapons lost power. The resistance fighters pushed forward, capturing the main base within hours. Similar reports came in from around the world. Humans were winning battles everywhere. On the Council command ship, High Emissary Zyktar watched in disbelief as humans took control of his base below. "How is this possible?" he demanded. They were primitive. Their technology was centuries behind ours. "They adapt faster than any species we've encountered," one of his officers replied. "They learn from every defeat, improve on our own technology, and never stop fighting." "Send the report to the Council," Zyktar ordered. "We need reinforcements." "Communications are still down, Emissary. The humans have infected our entire network." For the first time, fear showed in the High Emissary's eyes. Back on Earth, Frank stood on top of the captured alien base. Human flags now flew where Council banners had been. Around him, people celebrated. Sam approached with a tablet showing data from their captured systems. "Look at this. The Council has at least 20 more worlds under occupation, all being harvested for resources." Lisa joined them, looking at the star maps. "These people need help too." Frank nodded slowly. "Then we'll help them." The Council thought they found an easy target in Earth. Instead, they woke up a planet of warriors. News of the victory in Arizona spread across the world. Resistance groups grew bolder. Council forces retreated to more defensible positions. For the first time since the invasion, humans could see a path to victory. And they were just getting started. The first true human spacecraft built for war arose from its hidden base in the Australian outback. It was 3 times larger than the scout ship they had captured earlier. The name EDS Vengeance was painted on its side in bold letters. EDS stood for Earth Defense Ship. Frank Miller sat in the captain's chair on the bridge. Around him, The best pilots and fighters from the global resistance manned their stations. Lissa Johnson handled communications while Sam Taylor monitored the engines he had designed himself. "All systems ready," Sam reported. "Our shields are at full power." Frank nodded. "Take us up." The ship lifted smoothly into the sky, quickly passing through the clouds. As they reached the edge of space, they saw the remaining Council fleet in orbit. 20 ships of various sizes patrolled Earth. "They don't know we're coming," Lisa said. "Our stealth systems are working." Their first target was a Council supply depot that floated in orbit near the Moon. It was where the aliens stored the resources they stole from Earth before shipping them to other parts of the galaxy. "Weapons hot," Frank ordered as they approached. "Fire when ready." The Vengeance opened fire with weapons based on Council technology, but modified and improved by human engineers. The supply depot's shields flickered and failed much faster than they should have. "They never expected us to use their own weapons against them," Sam said with a smile. "And they certainly never expected us to make them better." The depot exploded in a ball of silent fire. Alarms sounded on all the Council ships as they realized they were under attack. "Incoming," Lisa warned. 3 Council warships moving to intercept. Frank remained calm. "Bring us around. Let's show them what humans can do." The Vengeance moved with surprising speed for its size. Sam had studied alien engine designs and made critical improvements. The Earth ship was faster and more maneuverable than anything the Council had. The alien ships fired, but most of their shots missed as the Vengeance darted between them. The human ship fired back, disabling one Council vessel and heavily damaging another. "They're calling for reinforcements," Lisa reported, listening to the alien communications. "They sound scared." On the command ship, High Emissary Zuktar watched in horror as a human-built vessel destroyed his ships. "Impossible," he whispered. "How could they advance so quickly?" Next to him, Xenpor could barely hide his admiration for the humans' achievement. "They understand technology differently than we do," he said. "They don't just use it, they improve it." "The Council will not stand for this," Zyktar said. "When our reinforcements arrive, we will burn their world to ash." Xenpor slipped away quietly, heading for his private communication terminal. He needed to warn the humans about what was coming. Back on the Vengeance, Frank ordered a retreat after dealing significant damage to the Council fleet. They had proven their point. Humans could now fight in space. As they returned to Earth, Lisa received a transmission from Xenpor. "Council reinforcements are coming," she told Frank. "A much larger fleet." Frank nodded grimly. "Then we need to build more ships." When the Vengeance landed, crowds of people were waiting. News of the space battle had spread quickly. Humans around the world celebrated their first victory in space. Sam rushed off to meet with engineers from other resistance cells. "We need to build at least 10 more ships," he told them. "And I have ideas for improvements." Lisa gathered her communication team. "The Council is spreading news about us to other star systems," she said. "Some are afraid, but others, especially those under Council rule, see us as inspiration." Frank addressed the growing crowd. "Today we showed the Galactic Council that humans won't be bullied," he said. "They thought we would surrender. They thought we were weak. They were wrong." As night fell, resistance leaders from around the world joined in a video conference. Plans were made, resources allocated. A human space fleet would be built. The Council had started this war. Humans would finish it. 1 year after the Vengeance's first flight, Earth had changed again. Council forces now controlled only a few areas on the planet. A united Earth defense force had formed from the various resistance groups, and in orbit, a fleet of 15 human ships patrolled. Frank Miller stood on the bridge of the Vengeance, now the flagship of Earth's fleet. The ship had been upgraded several times under Sam's direction. "Council reinforcements have arrived," Lisa reported from her station. 25 ships just entered the solar system. Frank nodded calmly. "Alert all ships. Battle positions." The human fleet moved into formation. They had practiced for this day. Each ship captain knew their role. The Council fleet approached with confidence. They outnumbered the humans and had larger ships. What they didn't know was that humans had been busy with more than just building ships. "They're in range," Sam said. "Defense network is active." Around the planet, hidden platforms activated. These weapons had been built in secret, using technology reverse-engineered from Council ships. They fired simultaneously, catching the alien fleet by surprise. 4 enemy ships disabled. Lisa reported. "Their formation is breaking." "Attack pattern Alpha," Frank ordered. The human fleet split into 3 groups, moving to surround the Council ships. On the Council command ship, High Emissary Zuktar watched in growing horror. How did they build all this? It's been only 3 years since first contact. "The humans have united," an officer replied. "Their entire planet now works together. They build ships in days that would take us months." The battle raged for hours. Human ships took damage but kept fighting. The Council lost ship after ship, not understanding how humans could have advanced so quickly. Then something unexpected happened. 3 new ships appeared at the edge of the battle. They weren't human or Council designs. "We're being hailed," Lisa said with surprise. An alien face appeared on the main screen. It had green scales and 6 eyes. "I am Captain Krex of the Drex Liberation Force," the alien said. "We heard what humans have done. You inspire us. We want to help you fight the Council that has oppressed our world for centuries." Frank smiled. "We welcome your assistance, Captain Krex." With the Drex ships joining the battle, the Council fleet was quickly defeated. Those who survived retreated. Later, Frank met with the Drex captain in person aboard the Vengeance. Other resistance leaders joined by video. "Your people have done the impossible," Krex said. "No species has ever successfully fought back against the Council before." "We're just getting started," Frank replied. "The Council attacked our world. We won't be safe until they're no longer a threat." Krex nodded. "Many species suffer under Council rule. When news spread about humans fighting back, it gave us courage. Others will join too." Lisa had been analyzing data from the captured Council ships. "I found something important," she told the group. "The location of the Council's central communication hub. If we can take control of it, we can send messages to every world in Council space." Sam stepped forward with his tablet. "And I've developed weapons that can target Council leadership ships specifically. They rely too much on standardized designs." Frank looked at the maps showing Council territory. "With the Drex joining us, and other species ready to rebel, we can strike at the heart of the Council." Krex seemed surprised. "You want to attack the Council homeworld? No one has ever dared." "They came to our world to conquer it," Frank said. "They didn't expect humans to fight back. Now we'll show them what happens when you pick a fight with Earth." Plans were made. The Drex would spread word to other oppressed species. Earth would build more ships, and within months, they would launch an attack on the regional Council headquarters. Across the galaxy, news of human victories spread from planet to planet. Species that had lived under Council rule for generations began to whisper about freedom. Earth was showing them that the mighty Galactic Council could be defeated. The United Fleet approached the Council regional headquarters. 20 Earth ships flew alongside 15 Drex vessels and a dozen more from other species who had joined the rebellion. They called themselves the Freedom Alliance. Frank Miller stood on the Vengeance's bridge, now wearing the formal uniform of the Earth Defense Force. Looking at the huge space station ahead, he felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "All ships report ready," Lisa said from her station. She now served as both communications officer and diplomat for the Alliance. "The Council station has noticed us," Sam reported. "They're powering up defenses." Frank nodded. "Send the message." Lisa opened a channel to the station. "Attention Council forces. This is the Freedom Alliance. Surrender the station, or we will take it by force. You have 10 minutes to decide." As they waited, Frank received a private message from Senpor, who had finally defected openly to the Alliance 3 months ago. The Council leaders are panicking, the alien reported. Many of their own people no longer believe in their cause. The station's crews are divided. Before the 10 minutes passed, several Council ships broke formation and moved away from the station. "They're running," Sam said with surprise. "No," Frank replied. "They're joining us." 5 Council military vessels approached the Alliance fleet with their weapons powered down. Their commander appeared on the main screen. "I am Captain Velnar," the blue-skinned alien said. "My crews and I can no longer support the Council's oppression. We request permission to join your alliance." Frank smiled. "Permission granted, Captain. Take position with our fleet." The Council station fired the first shots, but they seemed half-hearted. The Alliance fleet responded with precise attacks that disabled the station's weapons without destroying it completely. "Ground teams ready," Colonel Jane Peters reported from the troop carrier. She had been leading Earth's ground forces since the early days of the Resistance. "Launch when ready, Colonel," Frank ordered. Shuttles from multiple species headed toward the station. Human soldiers fought alongside Drex warriors and others from across the galaxy. They moved through the station, meeting less resistance than expected. Many Council workers surrendered immediately. Within hours, the station was under Alliance control. The Council's regional headquarters, which had overseen the rule of hundreds of worlds, now flew the Alliance flag. Frank walked through the station's main control center with Senpor beside him. Council officials stood in a group, their heads bowed in defeat. "The high-ranking ones should face trial," Senpor said. "They ordered attacks on civilian populations across many worlds." Frank nodded. "They'll get fair trials, which is more than they gave their victims." Lisa approached with important news. "I've accessed their communication system. We can now send messages to every planet in this sector." "Do it," Frank ordered. "Tell them the Council's grip is breaking. Tell them freedom is possible." Meanwhile, Sam had discovered something in the station's database. "Look at this," he said, showing Frank a star map. "This shows the location of the Council's homeworld and their main fleet positions." Council officials looked shocked that humans could so easily read their data. They had always considered other species too primitive to understand their technology. "The Council is calling an emergency meeting," Lisa reported, listening to intercepted communications. "All the highest leaders are gathering on their homeworld. They're terrified of what's happening." Frank looked at the representatives of the various species that now made up the Alliance. Humans fought alongside aliens who just years ago were strangers to Earth. "We've won a great victory today," he told them. "But the war isn't over until all worlds are free from Council rule." Captain Krex of the Drex stepped forward. "Then we take the fight to their homeworld. End this once and for all." The Alliance members cheered in different languages. Ships from more rebellious planets arrived daily to join their cause. On the Council homeworld, High Emissary Zyctar faced angry questions from the Supreme Leaders. "How could you let this happen?" they demanded. "You said humans were primitive." "They were," he replied desperately. "But they learn and adapt faster than any species we've ever encountered. And now they've united half the galaxy against us." For the first time in thousands of years, the Galactic Council knew fear. The Freedom Alliance fleet gathered near the edge of the Council home system. Over 100 ships from 24 different species prepared for the final battle. The Earth vessels led the formation, with the Vengeance at the center. Frank Miller looked at the tactical display showing the Council homeworld. After 4 years of fighting, they had reached this moment. "Council defenses are heavy," Sam reported. 50 ships and orbital platforms around the planet. Lisa monitored communications. Many of their allies have abandoned them. They stand mostly alone now. Zenpor provided final intelligence. The Council's supreme leaders are all gathered in the central hall. They refused to believe they could lose. Frank addressed the commanders of all Alliance ships. "Today we end the Council's reign of terror. Remember, we fight not for revenge, but for freedom. All beings deserve to live without fear and oppression." The Alliance fleet moved forward. The Council ships rushed to meet them, but their formation was desperate and disorganized. Years of easy victories had made them soft. They had never faced a real challenge before Earth. The battle began with an explosion of light and energy. Council weapons fired. Alliance ships responded. The void of space lit up with weapons fire. On the Vengeance, Frank ordered their special weapon activated. Target their command ships. Sam fired the weapon that he and Earth scientists had developed. It sent out a pulse that disrupted the special shields on Council leadership vessels. Suddenly, the most important Council ships were vulnerable. Alliance vessels concentrated fire on these targets. One by one, the command ships fell or surrendered. Without leadership, the remaining Council fleet faltered. "They're breaking formation," Lisa reported. "Some are retreating." Frank gave the order. "Ground teams deploy." Colonel Jane Peters led the first wave down to the planet's surface. Unlike Earth's cities that had been bombed years before, the Alliance forces targeted only military installations. They avoided civilian areas. The Council's ground forces put up little resistance. Many threw down their weapons when they saw humans fighting alongside Drex and other species they had been told were inferior. Within hours, Alliance forces reached the central hall where the Supreme Leaders were meeting. The giant doors opened to reveal Frank, Jane, Lisa, and Sam, along with representatives from each Alliance species. Inside, 20 Council Supreme Leaders sat around a massive table. High Emissary Zyctar stood among them, his once proud face now filled with shock. "How is this possible?" One Supreme Leader asked. "How could primitive humans defeat the Galactic Council?" Frank stepped forward. "You made a simple mistake. You judged us by our technology, not by our spirit. Humans have been fighting wars against each other for thousands of years. We know how to adapt, how to overcome stronger enemies." "What do you want?" Another Supreme Leader asked fearfully. "To destroy us." Frank shook his head. "No. We want what you should have offered from the beginning. Peace between equals." Lisa presented a document. "These are our terms. The Council will be reformed. All species will have equal representation. No world will be forced to provide resources against their will." The Supreme Leaders looked at each other in confusion. They had expected revenge. Instead, they were being offered a chance at a peaceful future. "And if we refuse?" Zyctar asked. Sam gestured to the window where the Alliance fleet could be seen in orbit. "Then we will help the people of this world form their own government without you." One by one, the Supreme Leaders agreed to the terms. The war was over. 3 months later, representatives from 200 species gathered in the rebuilt United Nations building in New York. Earth had been chosen as the headquarters for the new Galactic Alliance. Frank, now an admiral, watched from the audience as Lisa, serving as Earth's representative, signed the new charter alongside Xenpor and leaders from across the galaxy. Sam sat beside Frank. "Did you ever think we'd end up here when they first attacked?" Frank shook his head. "No, but that's the thing about humans. We're full of surprises." Outside, ships from dozens of worlds hovered peacefully in the sky. The stars were no longer a place of fear, but of opportunity. Humanity had not only saved itself, but helped free the galaxy. All because the Galactic Council had made one serious mistake. They shocked Earth, and Earth shocked back.